Salute, salute, salute. Salute to all the diehards. This is Diehard Giants Live. And I'm your man. I am Jarrell on IG and Twitter. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about free agency. Joe Shane has made a couple moves here and there and a real big move in a trade. We'll talk about that. And we also cut Kenny Galladay today to save a little cap relief on the cap this year. We'll definitely talk about it. You know, I got family with me. Hold on. I got my man Eru and my sister Steph here. Hold on. How the hell are y'all?
What's good? What's good?
What
I'm
up,
doing real
family?
good.
Hope
I'm sorry.
Nah, that's okay. Hope everybody's day has been going good. Salute to everybody in the chat. Geraldine, Core Mega, Tony Crow is in the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. What's happening, family?
Listen, I'm feeling pretty good, especially with the moves the Giants have made. And it just feels good actually to be back talking Giants. I've been out of the loop for about 2 years or what have you. So now I'm back listening to my favorite podcasters and
Nice.
reading the articles and things like that. Looking forward to the draft, actually.
Nice, nice. How you been, Eru?
Chilling. I'm happy to be on the show. I missed last time because just I got too much stuff going on, but I made it today. It's exciting again. To follow the Giants. That first day free agency, I kind of just looking through names and stuff. As I'm looking through names, bam, we get a linebacker. Bam, we get an offensive lineman. Bam, we get a tight end. We're like, yo, let's go, let's do it. Yeah.
Especially since he says I said linebacker was like a key need for us. I told you we didn't have any starting caliber linebackers, and we got a pretty good one, man. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get this going here. Welcome to the free agency moving and grooving show today. We're going to talk about all the moves that Joe Shane made. First, we'll talk about all the people that we actually re-signed. These are some of the players that was actually on the roster already. Isaiah Hodgins, Sterling Shepard, Matt Breida, Wyatt Davis. You might not know him because he doesn't start. He's like a rotational inside lineman and long snapper and our punter. So we re-signed pretty much our special teams except for the kicker. But for some reason, I actually think our kicker, I've got Gano. He might actually be gone.
Oh,
So we'll see because I don't know. He might have a big cap hit in order to sign somebody, maybe Odell Beckham Jr. in the future. We'll see. We might have to cut somebody else or restructure a couple people contracts in order for him to get over here because we had a lot of cap room in the beginning of the free agency, but it's getting slim pretty quick. So the
hope they
we
restructure. I want that kicker back. Yeah, no?
yeah. I hope they do restructure. I'm hearing that Leonard Williams is going to restructure his contract. We'll see. At the end of the list, you see that Kenny Galladay got cut. That's $6.7 million cap relief that we really needed. He's no longer on the team. He wasn't a good wide receiver, and it was a bad signing by David Gettleman in the first place. And we lost Nick Gates to the Commanders, so he was another rotational inside lineman. And yeah, we lost him to a division rival. That sucks, but at least he wasn't a starter.
Right.
So anybody surprised that any of these people is still on the team?
That Hodgins kid, man. I'm glad that we kept him, man. He was a big surprise last year. He held us down a lot.
Word,
Big
word,
time.
word. Especially from Buffalo's practice squad. So Joe Shane actually knew him, and Brian Dable had a hand in drafting him over there too. So that was a good, very, very good signing for us and snatching him up from the practice squad. And speaking of that, we'll talk about Darren Waller later on. He got snatched from a practice squad, and that's how he started his resurgence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as you can see, no, Darius Slayton isn't on this list.
I'm good. I get it though. I get it that wide receiver is Slim Pickens. Um, and so I think I forgot what show I was watching today in terms of wide receiver free agent. He was like at the top of the list. I said, wow, it must really be Slim Pickens. I'm good if they don't bring Darius Slayton back. I mean, I get it. He runs fast. He's, you know, but it's just an adventure when it comes to catching the ball. It's an
Right.
adventure, and he's dropped some key balls for us. So, obviously, if there's nobody out there, what are you gonna do? But
Right.
don't pay him too much.
We watched every single game, so we know every drop. We know everything about this guy. So like, I brought it up. I sent something to you guys in one of the group chats. Just somebody commenting on it. But I got a chance to look at some of these guys verbally say it, and they
Hmm.
say it in with energy. Like,
Right.
"Sweet, I don't know what the Giants are doing over there. Because why am I saying this and the other?" It's like, really? Are you watching the games, or are you just talking just to talk?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, maybe he might do well, with like a different background without the New York on the chest and things of that nature.
Hmm.
Maybe he might do well on another team, but I'm glad he's not on the roster anymore. We just got to keep it moving.
I
Well,
don't
he
know.
might be. They might re-sign him though, right? Or
Yeah.
they've decided not to.
No, I think it depended on the price. I think that's what the wait is all about. We don't know
Mm.
anything is happening with Odell yet. I think it's between us and one other team. I'm thinking that team might be Dallas. But we'll see because Darius Slayton, I don't know. He's a wild card because athletically he is everything that you would want a wide receiver, except for he lost his hands. Like I don't know
I don't
what's
know
up
if
with
he's
his
ever
hands.
had him because I mean, listen, I've stopped watching the Giants. I think I missed like 2 seasons.
Hmm.
Darius Slayton was dropping the ball as a rookie.
Hmm.
Last season, I watched pretty much every game after like a 2-year hiatus. I've watched some games here and there, but before that, I watched every single Giant game.
Hmm.
He's still dropping the ball. So I'm like, maybe his drop rate has improved since his rookie year, but come on.
Nah, it's actually, to be honest, it actually got a little worse. His rookie year, it was actually okay. Like that was it's kind of average, but the last 2 years has been bad for him. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah,
Like
there's no
it's not a concentration thing. That's like your hands just sorry. Like I don't know what it is.
yeah, there's no progression. From his rookie year. You expect him.
He he like Noel North. He looking like Noel.
I guess you
Yeah,
could
there was the well.
nervous the
Yeah.
well. Yeah, hands like feet. Exactly. I guess you could kind of compare him to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had a case of the dropsies, but look at what he did. He actually went to Jacksonville, and I mean he got tagged because they want he wants a long term deal. Obviously, he's in the Saquon situation. They don't want to give him top money, but the year that he had last year, he's kind of owed it. Like he went there on a 1 year prove it deal, you know, coming away from us, and he proved it. He actually had a pretty good year, like Pro Bowl caliber year. So maybe change of scenery is up Slayton's alley. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough being in New York. Just the fan base is different. That blue color too, the blue Giants uniform is intimidating, man. Look at yourself in the mirror with that uniform. That's got to be extremely intimidating. But Jacksonville, you got a little cute tiger. You got guys in the stands, in a pool in the stands. So like, what's going on? It's like, they don't even take themselves serious. So there's no pressure there.
Yeah, that's true.
You
But
know?
he see, but the thing is, he came from a big institution. He went to Auburn, so he's played in front of thousands of people. So I don't know why he got the dropsies. But then again, he is a fifth round pick because he always had the athletics, but the route running and the hands, I guess, was always a problem. That's why he got drafted so low.
Yeah.
Right.
Salute to Ron and salute to Ron from Still Knicks fans and Almighty Finesse is in the chat. Salute, fellas. Salute,
Salute,
salute, salute.
salute.
Cormega's there too. There's quite a
Yep.
few guys there.
Carmela, Cormega, Geraldine, everybody
Yep,
chilling with
Geraldine.
us tonight, man. That's what's up. Ingram is trash. He wasn't trash this year, man. Like if you actually watch some of his highlights this year, he actually been killing. So let's go to the first topic of discussion. Raheem Nunez Roches, affectionately named Nacho. That's what everybody calls him.
I
That's his
love it.
nickname, Nacho. Like he's a wild card, man. Like he's one of those type of players that always constant energy. As you can see, we signed him for 3 years for 12 million, 7 million guaranteed, which is a pretty good contract. Drafted in 2015 from Southern Miss, sixth round from Kansas City. 29 years old. You see the measurables. He was drafted by Kansas City, but then he was picked up by Tampa Bay. He won a Super Bowl, and he was a big reason they won that Super Bowl too because their starting defensive tackle Vita Vea, he went down and he started for the rest of the season, and they won a Super Bowl with him being the starting defensive tackle. So he's a good run stuffer.
Yo, he has a great name, Raheem Nunez Racha. Wow, man, I love that name. This is first off the bat. But like when you first click, because all these guys, like I'm not gonna lie and say like I know who these people are, so you instantly go and looking for interviews. The first interview I saw it was like I don't know, it was after a game or something. And talking to him, he has a wonderful personality, man.
Yep.
Leadership, you could hear it. He could talk the game. He's smiling. He even the reporters had like a big rapport listening to him speak and stuff. They were having a great time talking to him. So I think that's some little things like that is missing from the Giants. So getting these extra leaders and extra personalities, I think that's what builds championships, man. Once we get those little guys in there that keep it light but are very serious about the game, I think this is a big pickup here. I really am happy about it.
Right, Steph. Did you
He's in
do
the
any?
rotation, right? He's not starting.
No, no, no. He's a rotation player. Like he won't be starting. But
Right.
that was part of our problem last year in the first
Not
place. We
having
didn't have depth at that position.
right.
So this was a quality signing. And those numbers last year, those are the games that he played last year, just
Mhm.
specifically 2022. 33 tackles and 2 sacks. He's not really a sack master. He's more of a run stuffer. But
That was my question.
yeah, he does have strong hands. He's active. I got a little video here. Hold on, let me get it.
And I think that's what we needed, a run stopper.
Right. You guys get to know Nacho a little bit. He's number
Especially feeling,
56.
yeah.
56. Okay.
He's circled here, as you can see.
Mm.
Pretty strong guy, man. Can hold that middle down.
We need that with Philly. Philly was kicking up. They did that to everybody, but just watching them just run us down in that last game was embarrassing. So it's good to have somebody in there that can handle his business.
Right,
307 pounds. I mean, moving like that.
right. And he's the type of person that he's always talking. There's always energy.
Yeah.
He never sits down during the game, but yeah, he's just a ball of energy. He's electric. Let's just say that he never stops talking.
Yeah. As a football player, you need that, right? Because there's a lot of downtime, switching back and forth. Sometimes you get kind of stuck. But if you got this one guy that can't stay still, man, it kind of is like, yo, I got to be up because this guy's up.
Right.
That type of energy is infectious.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview with some of his coaches talking about him, and they just said like what they like about him, whether he's starting or not, he's just always into the game.
Right.
Like he's always on 10. He's
Yeah.
like that in practice and in the game. So he's going to be a really, really good locker room guy.
Well, that's great. But I hope he's also a really, 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 really good on court, player as well.
Right. Exactly.
So,
You're absolutely right. But he's definitely a beast on the field, man. I like Nacho. Like with the little bit of research that I did on him, because he's not one of the players that I actually knew a ton about. Like I knew his name, but I never studied him before. Even when he came out of college, he was kind of unknown, coming out of Southern Miss. And yeah, like I like him. I think he was a good pickup. Not that much money.
right, right, correct.
Yeah, but you can see what he brings. That talking, the leadership, the infectious. Try to some guys that need that. Some guys that are up and coming, maybe they're struggling. Having a guy like that will give them an extra little boost. Like put a battery in your pack just for having that guy there, constantly talking, keeping you engaged in the game and that type of stuff.
Right.
That's definitely a plus.
We actually have another guy like that in the locker room. His name is Johad Ward. Number 55 linebacker. He's kind of put Kayvon Thibodeau under his wing. Like that's his rookie said. Like he's a locker room guy like that. So pairing Nacho up with him, like our locker room is going to be fine. We're going to have some tough dudes in the locker room. It's going to be good. Now, Bobby Okereke. Yes, that's how you pronounce his name. I know it's spelled a little funky, but his name is pronounced Okereke.
Okay.
Yeah, we signed him 4 years, $40 million, $22 million guaranteed. Was drafted in 2019. Smart guy to Stanford. Third round by the Colts. 26 years old. A little smaller front linebacker, only 6'1", 235. But he with his lack of size, he makes up for it in toughness and speed. Like he's a real downhill linebacker. Like he's a little small, so he might get caught up, jammed in the middle with big offensive linemen sometimes. But if You got like the big nasties up front clogging up stuff in the middle. Like he can go and chase the ball. That's what he is. He's like a seeker.
Right.
Yeah, you can see that in the stats: 132 tackles one year and 151 last year.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's been a beast, man. And that's playing two different linebacker positions because the Colts quietly have one of the best linebacker rooms in the whole NFL. They had Darius Leonard over there. They have another young linebacker. He's actually from Philly. I actually met him a couple times. His name's Zaire Franklin. He's number 4 over there, and Bobby Okereke. Like that was the three linebackers. They actually was killing. Like Darius Leonard is a Pro Bowler. He's been a Pro Bowler for like 2 or 3 times since he's been in the league. Okereke and Franklin haven't made it yet, but they're like over 100 tackles, both of them by themselves too.
He's middle or outside?
He's played both.
Oh,
Like he played middle 2021, had 132. Darius Leonard got hurt last year, so he replaced him in the middle and got 151. So he's a seeker regardless of where you put him out on the field. He's pretty good in coverage too.
it's great.
Yeah, he seems like a what do you call a high IQ guy? Just a really smart dude to put out there in the linebacker spot.
Yeah, he's going to be somebody we call a green dot. The green dot means pretty much the person with the microphone in the helmet.
Mm.
All of those helmets have a green dot on them, so that means he's going to pretty much be the quarterback of our defense. The person who had the green dot last year was Xavier McKinney, but safeties usually don't have that. It's usually the middle linebacker, but we just like I said, we lack the talent of the middle linebacker, and at the end of the year, we was just getting people off the street.
Yeah,
To be honest, let's just keep it
But we need
real.
more than him. So we got one. We're gonna
Yep,
need two more. Plus
definitely.
that.
We can see Bobby get busy a little bit. Number 58, he will be circled in all of the highlights. All of these, he's just going to be see ball, run, and get the ball.
look at him
That's what
tackling, man.
that's what he's all about. Like he makes good reads. You rarely see him make like a false step. Like he reads
Mm.
guards really nicely. As soon as he sees the ball, he go gets it.
He's snatching guys too, man. You see the tackles, bam, snatching them.
Yep.
We didn't have that last year.
Huge upgrade from last year.
Yeah.
Like our defense is going to be really, really different. And I think we're going to focus not mostly on offense in the draft. Hopefully, we'll draft another big time linebacker maybe in the first 3 rounds. But I think our most of our picks are going to be picked on offense.
Okay. But guys like this is my worst nightmare. That's why I don't play football. Remember I told you that story
Why?
where I got the kickoff and I could see, everybody's blocking, but I could see that one guy coming and nobody else sees. That's this guy, Bobby. How you pronounce his name? Akuyake?
A Karake, yeah.
Akarike, yeah. He's that guy that yo man, nobody sees this guy. Oh no, crack. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, man. Look, like I love it. Like he's always around the ball. That's what you want your linebackers to be.
Yeah, no doubt.
This highlight doesn't really show a lot of his coverage ability, but I just wanted to show people what he can do in the run because that's what we really needed him for, like a good run stopper. But he's pretty decent in coverage too. He's not too bad.
We must have been ranked near last in run coverage because with the defensive lineman we got
Hmm.
with Akarike, both of them are addressing the run, and Akarike, and can guard in coverage as well. But it sounds like that was a top priority.
Yeah, man. Hold on, let's see what
How happy were you, man? Because that's the main position you was harping on all year, man.
all year, like
Yeah,
linebacker, not tight end. Even though we got a great tight end, I wasn't looking for tight end. I thought we would actually draft a tight end in the early rounds because even though I like Daniel Bellinger, I know the type of coaching staff that we have. We'll talk about that later. How we're going to use Darren Waller. It's going to be a little different from these guys because he's a little bit more, he's going to be a little bit more important than the two signings that we have. Well, maybe not Okereke because he is our only starting level linebacker now, but Darren
wow.
Waller is going to be he's going to be a problem. That's how good he is, especially if he's healthy, and we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hella excited, man. Like we got a starting linebacker.
Yeah.
But we need two more though. How much money do we have? How much money do we have left? Like
Well,
we need two more.
well, technically, we only need one. We only one starting caliber at least because we still have a couple linebackers left over from last year, and we only start two. Our defense only really starts two linebackers because Kayvon Thibodeau and Aziz Ojulari, those are other two linebackers that pretty much rush. The other two are just, coverage,
Yeah.
run stuffing. So for now, it'll probably be him and McFadden, the rookie that we had last year. But yeah, we can definitely draft another linebacker that could take his spot. Like we do definitely need another one.
But we got Kayvon and then we got this guy. So just adding those two guys on out there, that's definitely got to make us way better next year, right?
Yeah, especially since Kayvon Thibodeau was he was hurt for a few games, so
Right.
hopefully we can get him healthy. Hope all 17, but that's kind of unlikely a lot of times because this is football. But yeah, our defense has already made a huge step. Now we definitely need a corner now,
Yeah.
and we
Right.
still haven't like we didn't talk about maybe because I just forgot about talking about him, but we mentioned Darius Slayton. I should have mentioned Julian Love too because he's out there still dangling also, and we have not re-signed him, and that's our starting strong linebacker. He was the green dot guy when Xavier McKinney went out with the hand injury. So Julian Love was our leader for what, like 5 or 6 weeks. So yeah, he was very very important in our defense. Of right now, he is a unrestricted free agent. Like he can leave.
Are they bringing him back though?
They're in conversation. So like they're
Yeah.
trying, but there are other teams that want him too. So still a negotiation process.
Yeah. Gonna come down to money, guarantee money probably.
Yep, all of that. Like fit, like he is a West. I think he's a West Coast guy. I got to see where he was from, but I know he went to Notre Dame, and don't get me wrong, we drafted him. But if the money is right somewhere else, he would definitely leave. And if he leaves, our safety position is kind of like our linebackers. Like we'll have Xavier McKinney, but other than that, we'll just have a couple of rookies that was on the roster last year, and that's it. Like we would definitely need another starting strong safety, like a starting caliber strong safety. Anything else on the K y'all want to know?
I haven't had a chance to listen to him interview. I like to
Mm-hmm.
watch guys interview, man. Just see
Mm-hmm.
them how they respond to questions and just their personality. Because to me, football is all about personality. All about how you engage the room because there's so many different personalities in a football. When you play a football game, you got the defense, you got the offense, you got a crazy coaching staff. There's so much stuff going on. So I like to see personalities out there.
Right.
My favorite thing. So how's his personality? What is he like?
He's cool. He's a leader. Like all of these dudes that we're getting are leaders in some way or fashion. Like Nacho is a leader by the way that he leads, especially in practice. A K, like I say, he's a green dot guy, so he's going to be running the defense. He's going to be the quarterback. And Darren Waller, who we're going to talk about later, his personality shines through too. He's all over the place with his interviews and talking about his past issues and stuff like that. So yeah, we're getting all good character guys. It seems like, at least so far.
Yeah, I like him a lot, man. Looking at the highlights and stuff, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, seem like Ron like him too.
It's from
Yep,
Nigeria.
yep. I think that's Nigerian. K. He's a solid dude, man. Hold on. Now, the man of the hour, Darren Waller, traded for pretty much. You might as well say he was traded for Kadarius Toney because the pick that we used is the pick that we got from Kansas City to get Kadarius Toney, drafted in 2015 out of Georgia Tech, out of the 6th round. I'll tell you the reason for that later. For Baltimore, he's 30 years old, but he'll be 31 in the beginning of the season. 6'6", 255 pounds. 1 year, he's a one-time Pro Bowler, but could have easily been two. And he was just like a little tidbit at the end. He's a converted wide receiver, and the way when you watch him play, you'll see why he was a wide receiver and the skill set that he have on the field when it comes to lining up outside and even lining up to be like a huge slot receiver. He's not really like the prototypical tight end that blocks in line all the time, like Daniel Bellinger.
I like it, man. He like when I saw that, I almost fell out my seat. I was like, "What?" Because that was like we were talking. We have a group chat. Like everybody else
Hmm.
was talking about it. So I'm like looking at it. I should ask him about the tight end, but I don't want to sound like an idiot because I'm asking you so many different questions and stuff.
No, I don't mind at all.
And then as soon as I'm about to ask you, bam, Darren Waller. I'm like, whoa,
I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. This came out of nowhere. Like I even saw a little interview that he did. He was at the Giants facility today. I'll show you a little interview about that later. He actually said it caught him off guard. Like he didn't know it was happening, and the reason how he knew from his fiance, like she
wow,
saw it on ESPN or whatever, or on the timeline or something. They didn't even tell him at first.
that's amazing, man. Steph is muted.
Oh,
Oh,
you
I was
muted
saying
stuff.
he just got married
Yep.
also and is on his way to New York. I will say, and I'm sure we'll talk about the injuries.
Hmm.
He's a young 30. Seen
Yep.
a lot of wear and tear on his body.
Yep. And we'll talk about why he's a young 30 and why he missed time and stuff like that. Uh, get a little highlight video here too.
Yeah, his highlight film is fun to watch.
Yeah, man. When you 6'6" and you're a converted wide receiver, like coming out of college, right? I give you the quick college story. Like Darren Waller was like been battling substance abuse ever since he was 15 years old.
Right.
So he was so good athletically, he still got into college. But he didn't really excel at college though. He went to Georgia Tech, big kid, 6'6". He was around 235, 240 when he came into the combine. But he, redshirted his first year at Georgia Tech because of issues, failed multiple drug tests, barely got on the field, and he left a year early at Georgia Tech. But he's an athletic freak, so obviously he was invited to the combine still. He got an agent, like I said, 6'6", 240, wide receiver. Because of the issues, he was drafted in the sixth round. Because somebody with his measurables, that's a first round pick, obviously.
Right.
Yeah,
Like he's really unguardable when you watch him.
he's
And then
electric. Look how big he looks out there, man. He looks like he's playing with
Right.
like little children.
right, he look like he playing with his kids, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy. And he's not just big, he's big and he's fast. Like in the combine, he ran like a 4.4
Right.
at 4.6, 240. Like he's around like 255, 260 now because he's obviously put on weight to handle the position, but he's still running at least in a 4.5. Like he's still clocking like wide receiver speed.
sheesh. So that's big time because we're not going to be able to sign a wide receiver probably for just for money reasons, you know. So I mean,
Hmm.
making this trade, it just makes sense to do this.
This is exactly why we're doing it.
Mm.
We'll get into the contract and his stats after this. I got a slide for that too. But yeah, I just wanted you to see old fancy feet Darren Waller here, man. Like he's pretty much unguardable. Like last week, Steph, I was telling you if we get somebody on the outside that you, regardless of what you do, on 3rd and 5, you know he's going to get the ball.
Right.
Darren Waller is definitely one of those type of players.
And there's nothing you could do about it.
There's nothing you can do
Nothing
about it.
you can do about it. My God.
Nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it, especially if you're trying to play him with like a linebacker. Yeah, he toast. If you
Right.
try to do a safety, he's too big for a safety. He's too big for a corner. Like he either has to be doubled or bracketed some way in the zone,
Right.
or your quarterback just can't throw the football.
Right. The only issue with him is the health. Him being on the field for those things to happen.
Yes, we're definitely going to talk about that. Hold
He
on.
has confidence though. When they hit, like I said, I was doing went down the rabbit hole with the interviews. He's extremely confident. So all the stuff you were talking about putting somebody big on him or
Mhm.
whatever you want to try to do to him, he is not afraid of any of that stuff.
Right.
He's just like nobody could stop me kind of thing. You know, I love that energy.
Yeah, but and plus to get back into his mental health issues and stuff like him battling the substance abuse. He went to rehab. Once he got into the NFL, he actually failed multiple drug tests again. He got suspended for like half a year, the first year, then failed multiple drug tests again, got suspended all of 2017. Then he actually, he overdosed. Let's just say that.
Mm.
Yeah, he
And
got
by the
caught
grace
up
of
with the fentanyl. Yeah.
yes, by the
Oh
grace
yeah.
of God, he actually survived the fentanyl, lacing of a pill. So after that, that's when he said the light switch went on, and he hasn't touched anything since. And that date was August 11th, 2017. I even remember the date. That's how much I like
That's
the
when he was
story.
in the car for four
Yes,
hours. Okay.
yes, he was in the car for 4 hours by himself.
Right.
So yeah, so he pretty much had a new lease on life, and ever since then he's been sober. He said he hasn't touched anything since then. He was still suspended at the time, so he went to rehab in Maine. Came back, got his life together. Obviously, he was like working in a supermarket. They called him back to be on the team, but it was had to be a practice squad situation. They know they cleaned up his act. He cleaned up his act, so the Raiders invited him back. But like I mentioned with the practice squad, how we got Isaiah Hodgins, the Raiders actually snatched Darren Waller from the practice squad and signed him.
Their own practice squad or someone else's?
Someone else's. That's like how we got Isaiah Hodgins. Like he was on the practice squad in the Bills. It's kind of like the G League,
Right, right.
but you can snatch somebody, especially if you don't have some type of deal with him, get in contact with his agent, talk to the team and see if they have what type of plans they have for him. But you can snatch somebody from somebody
So,
else's
so
practice
what
squad.
team was he on? What practice squad?
The Ravens. He got
He
drafted
was
by the Ravens.
Ravens. Okay. Yeah.
wow. Because like I said, the interview they were interviewing the Ravens coach or whatever or
Hmm.
whoever he was, and he was pissed off. He was like, man, I'm happy for him, but God, I wish we would have kept him.
Hmm.
Right, because John Harbaugh, who drafted him, if he wouldn't have drafted Darren Waller, Darren Waller might not even be here right now
Yes.
because he might not have been picked by another team. Like he was the only coach that actually took a chance on him in the sixth round. It's only seven, and if
Right.
he would have got undrafted, you know, the at the time, athletic as he is, he didn't love football. So who knows if he would have kept going?
Right.
He wouldn't have been in that situation in Baltimore. You don't know what could have happened with the drugs and the alcohol going forward if he would have never got drafted. It's all about a what if. Like God, God don't make mistakes. So at least that's what they say.
Because it definitely could have went a whole different direction. He probably would be like, a scary 6'6" guy sitting on the side of the road asking for change. You know what I'm saying? Can you
Right.
imagine that?
Right.
And this is a
Or
kid
take
that I'm sorry, Steph, go ahead.
or taking the change.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
taking something.
He'd have took your change, Ebru.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
He would have took my cookies too.
Yeah, he would have took your chain. So yeah, Dan Waller is a redemption story that I like, man. He's married to what Kelsey Plum from the
Mhm.
point guard from the Aces,
Hmm.
she's an all-star caliber point guard, and he just got married, just got back from his honeymoon, and the next day he got traded. So like he said, the last week or the last 2 weeks has just been a whirlwind for him. So
You know what's ill too? I was looking at the one of the things you sent me, the
yeah.
pivot interview.
Hmm.
One of the first things that he said that he was a Giants fan. That he was a fan of Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah, because his dad was a Giants
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Like what? I mean, this is like it's like almost like
And
a
he grew
story.
up watching the Giants.
Grew up
Yeah.
watching the Giants, even though him and his family did. He grew up in Georgia, but yeah, his dad was a Giants fan. Just so happened to be a Giants fan,
Is his
and he
dad from
grew
New
up.
York? Do you know that offhand?
Queens.
I I'm not sure.
He's
Is
from
he?
Queens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
From New York.
okay, yeah,
What?
Queens, New York.
yeah. So he has a connection here.
Oh man, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And his
I hate to keep
versatility.
saying it. Yeah, I think we're gonna win a championship, y'all. I think we're gonna
Yo,
win a
come on,
championship.
man. Can we
Oh my
get through? Can we
God.
get through the damn
Like, see this
slides
last year we
before we
should not
talk
have
about the
been there last
championship?
year. I'm trying to tell you, last year we should not have been there, but look what we
Eru,
did last year. Now
Eru.
look what's happening, man. I
Before
think
You
we
know
we're gonna
what?
win a championship.
We outplayed our talent.
right,
Don't be surprised if that doesn't happen this year. Like chemistry
right.
is so important.
Don't say that stuff.
We can have a way better team and a worse record, and we're gonna have to get through slides before we talk about a chip. Eru, come on, we're not even finished.
For
we,
real.
we we
But
was
can
talking
we
about
talk about his versatility before we
Yeah, we'll talk about his version. The next slide is about his salary and his
Oh, it's about
contract.
him. Oh, okay, I thought it was
Yeah,
something.
it's still about him. Like it's Darren Waller. Most of this show is
Okay,
and should be about him. Like Darren
okay,
Waller is a huge deal. Like
Yeah.
look at 2019 and 2020. These are the first years that he ended up being a starter.
hmm,
So that's 90 catches, over 1,100 yards. Don't worry about the touchdowns because touchdowns is all scheme driven.
Right.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Never judge touchdowns by like personal performance when it comes to wide receivers and pass catchers,
Right.
because it all depends on what type of scheme they're running. Yeah, in the next year, over 100 catches, almost 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns in 15 games. But this is the problem, and this is what Steph was getting at earlier in the show. He has health issues now. The last couple years, it's been hard for Darren Waller to stay on the field. I think in 2001 it was an ankle injury, high ankle sprain, missed a lot of games, and little nagging injuries too. It wasn't just that one, but that was the injury that took him out. Last year, you see, he only started 6 games, but still ended up with almost 400 yards. So, and last year it was a hamstring, I believe. So,
Um,
think about how bad that hamstring injury was if he was out 11 games.
yeah, hamstrings are nasty though. Those
Right?
those those don't go away really.
Exactly. Especially from a big athletic kid like that, like a somebody 6'6", almost 300 pounds. A hamstring injury can keep you out all year. It just depends.
Right.
Yeah, and in the contract, he's making almost 12 on the cap this year. The beautiful thing about his contract, well, one, he just signed it, so it was weird
Right.
that they traded him. Like I know it was a story going around with him and the coach and leaking of stuff with his marriage and stuff like that. I don't know if I want to believe that. It seemed kind of silly, but it really didn't make sense him being traded because he just signed this contract this past September.
But that was before the season, though. I
No,
think they would.
no, he signed it September. It was if it was before the season, it had to be week one because it was September.
Right.
So yeah, that's weird
Well, I mean, part of what I heard was they were frustrated with him this season with the injuries.
with the injuries.
Yeah, yeah,
Makes
that was
sense.
just like this was the second season of injuries, and I think this was the first season with their new coach and general manager, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. So they not really probably wasn't that tied to him.
Hmm.
And then he's injured, and I heard that they were might maybe a little. I don't know if upset might be strong that he would be at the Aces games, and that he was. I know, and
Cheering
that
for his girl. Like what?
Yeah, for
and
his
they
wife,
didn't
his
see him
wife.
as much in the practice facility.
Well,
Wow. Okay. I
that's weird.
actually did not hear that stuff. That's crazy. Work ethic was one thing. I never heard what a problem with him when it came to his character. It was more other stuff like off the field stuff, but work ethic on the field, I never heard that.
Well,
That's weird.
I call cap because they signed him. So if they had all those issues, why would they sign him to the contract? And then, like, if that was the case, why did they only trade him for a third round pick? So the
Well,
Raiders are
because of
all
the
the way
injury
retarded.
history,
Hmm?
they probably thought it was a steal. Given his injury history. But what I like about it for the Giants is if it doesn't work out, he doesn't have any more guaranteed money after this
Yes.
season, and you could just drop him, no dead money or anything like that. So it's a win-win, but high reward is possible.
Hmm.
But with the Giants' luck, ever since I've been watching the Giants, no, I shouldn't say that. Maybe the past 8 years, it's always significant injuries in our 53-man roster.
Right.
Significant injuries.
Right. It's a problem every year. Even last season, our coaching staff is just good. If you actually look at the players that got hurt, they whole damn rookie class got hurt at one point or another. Every single person that they drafted lost time last year, including both of the first round picks. Like Kayvon Thibodeau missed what the first 2 games or something like that. Evan
Right,
Neal missed like what 3 or 4 games in the middle of the season.
right.
Everybody, like one of the draft picks, Darren Beavers, one of the linebackers that we didn't have last year. We don't even know what he looks like in a Giants jersey because he got hurt the very first preseason game, tore ACL, and he was like in line to probably start. He would have started last year.
Right.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like injuries have plagued us for years now, and this is a hope. Hope everything goes well. Like you said,
Right.
um, low
Low
risk,
risk,
high
high
low
reward.
risk, high reward. We only gave up a third round pick. This can be pretty much like a prove it year if he stays healthy.
Right.
We can keep him for 12 million, or we can cut him for nothing. This
Right.
is a brilliant move. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know if he signed this. I don't even know who negotiated this contract.
I was about to say 12 million, 13 million, 15 million. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Why would they grant give him this contract if all this issues is happening this year? I just don't get that.
but I think partly is because there was no um it wasn't guaranteed they can get out of it.
Yeah. Remember, football is real. Like we had this conversation last week. That football is a different animal than basketball and baseball, man. Like most of the money that you're going to get in your contract is not guaranteed, and once they pay you that guaranteed money, they can cut you.
But I
Yeah,
mean, at this contract though, it seems like only the first year was guaranteed. Like he signed a contract with only the first year guaranteed,
No. Well, hold on.
or was it a 5 year
It was a
contract?
5 year contract
So the
because it's
first
4 years.
2 years.
The first
Okay.
2 years, I think that 11.87, the money that we're paying him is the last bit of the guaranteed money. That's why after this year is over. So he got paid half of the guarantee last year, which was the first year, and this is the second.
So it was guaranteed for 2 years. But
Right.
still, a 5 year contract, only the first 2 years guaranteed was like
but
23.
that's not out of the
20
ordinary though. A lot of the contracts are like that in the NFL, right? Most like partial guaranteed. A lot of it be signing bonuses. Sometimes they get.
Right. Like these totals that I put up here, like the 12, the 11.8, these are just the totals of the cap hit. Like all of this is
Okay.
actually split up into like two. Like NFL contracts are crazy. If I had all the verbiage up here, I don't have enough space.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So it's like a 11 base salary, 250 for workout bonus, something else for roster bonus.
Right,
I
right,
ain't
right.
got, I ain't got, I ain't typing all that. So I just put, these are the totals cap hits for the years though.
Okay. But still, guaranteed money don't seem like he got a lot out of that contract, right? Maybe
Um,
23.
no, for the position, yes. Like you got to
That's
think about what position he plays. He plays tight end. So
okay.
historically, they don't get paid a lot of money. And at the time of him signing this contract, he was the highest paid tight end in the league last year
Wow.
with the guaranteed money. Like tight ends don't get paid.
Okay.
Did he
Not
get
well,
free?
not
He
the
got free
average ones.
Netflix too with this contract.
Yeah, but that's Darren Waller. You talk about the versatility real quick. Brian Dable, for those who don't know, was the tight end coach for the New England Patriots when Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez was there. So he knows his way around the position. Mike Kafka, who's our offensive coordinator now, was the QB coach for Kansas City Chiefs, who have the best tight end in the league when he was coaching there, and he still is. His name is Travis Kelsey. So, out of all coaching staffs in the NFL, this is the perfect place for Darren Waller.
Yeah,
He is not an inline tight end. He can play inside, outside. He can. When you hear coaches say 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 11 personnel means one running back, one tight end. 12 personnel means one running back, two tight ends. The type of offense that the Giants run, it's a lot of 12 personnel. Like that's why you saw some of the no-name tight ends catching a lot of balls last year. Cager,
Mhm.
one of the other guys too, I forgot his name. But yeah, it wasn't just Daniel Bellinger. All those guys are just young.
Right.
Vanett was that his name? Nick
Was it
Vanett.
Nick? I don't know. I don't think him.
So him and Bellinger will be in a lot. Will be in together a lot.
Right, because they're not prototypical tight ends. Like Daniel Bellinger is. He's what you call an inline tight end, and plus, like he's graded as already one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. So he's not going to lose snaps. Darren Waller is going to be pretty much a big wide receiver. He's going to be inside. He's going to be like Gronkowski. He could play inside sometimes, but for the most part, he's going to be outside and in the slot. You like in our offense, you might not ever see Darren Waller put his hand in the dirt and block somebody,
Right.
unless it's like a goal line situation. Because at that point, he's in the trenches, and with the formations that they have, you can
Right.
just have a whole bunch of combinations, endless combinations with the type of person that he is.
Right. I mean, that's not his strength anyway,
No,
from what I understand.
right.
And we might not need him to do that from what you're saying.
No, because we have Daniel Bellinger. That's what makes this so perfect. Like we don't even need him to. A lot of times when if he did get injured, injuries can happen to tight ends that, he's not a good blocker anyway. He's never have been. Like that's why he's a wide receiver turn tight end. Most of them are not good blockers.
Right.
That's why we call them move tight ends. They're the ones who's supposed to move around and get upfield and catch the ball. Like move tight ends and inline tight ends are completely two different type of tight ends, if that makes sense. So yeah, like they don't have the same type of game. So both of them will be in 12 personnel a lot on the field, especially with Saquon Barkley, because with the both of them, even with 12 personnel, even if Darren Waller is not a good blocker, he can still put his hand in the dirt and be,
Right.
average, and you can have Daniel Bellinger still like come in motion and be a lead blocker for Saquon in a formation. They both can be on the field at the same time. Let's just say that.
Right. I think one of the things I like with this offensive coaching staff is, the versatility and just how they, it's not the same play every game. They only got a certain set of plays. They're going to use their players to the best of their ability. The more
Right.
weapons you give them, the more creative this offensive coaching staff is going to be. So
Yeah.
you're giving them two tight ends, a blocking tight end that can also catch, you know, um, Waller who can line up in different spots. That means our offense with this particular coaching staff is going to be even better. And hopefully, I mean, you could say we have a wide receiver.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
He'll keep everybody fresh too. Keeping everybody the defense on his toes by the
Mhm.
creative play calling.
Mhm.
So then guys like Waller, maybe some he'll get some snaps, but then he'll be able to rest certain snaps because of the funky stuff that we're doing on offense.
Right.
You know,
I know one thing. I'm gonna tell everybody this right now. If we shore up this offensive line, mainly like the inside of it, and get a wide receiver in the draft, because I don't think we're going to sign one. If we do sign one, it's kind of like slim pickings out there now. It's like Odell, DJ Shark. I mean, maybe a couple other ones. But if we get a good wide receiver in the draft with Darren Waller here, and the way DJ can run, our red zone offense alone should be unstoppable.
I like to hear that.
I hate to say, but I don't see. I'm the type of person. I hate to say stuff like that.
Right.
I love it. Give it to me. I'll say it.
Nah, man. I guess me because I'm an ex football player, so we never kind of count our chickens before they hatch. For us, it's like every given Sunday, anybody can win or lose.
Of
You
course.
got to fight for it. Like I can't put like wins in my head yet. I just not wired that way. But on paper, let's just say on paper, Isaiah Hodgins is like 6'3" over there. Darren Waller's 6'6". Daniel Bellinger is a strong 6'3", 6'4", with strong hands. Saquon, we draft somebody else. Nobody should be able to stop us 20 yards in. Let's just say that.
I didn't know Hodges was 6'3".
Oh
Super
yeah,
excited. And I know you said it
yeah,
doesn't matter, separation matters, but I still get excited when I see some height.
yeah. Because this is a different type of thing. This is a like strictly red zone.
Right, right,
Because separation, you're not going to get a lot of separation in the red zone. In the red zone, you only got 20 yards to work with. So yeah, that's when the big people, big pass catchers are like more viable.
Yeah. We used to it too. I mentioned it in the chats too with the Mind Tumor and Plaxico. That
Right,
that pairing was fantastic, man. It was because, like you said, once you get in the red zone, you got to do is throw it over the shoulder. They're tall. They reach out and grab that thing, man.
Right.
Mexico was good for
right,
that.
right, right.
Right.
Darren Waller is our best tight end since Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jeremy Shockey was one of those move tight ends that couldn't be guarded one on one either. Like he was an athletic freak, not
Remember
like this.
that.
Darren Waller is different. Darren Waller is more of an athletic freak. He's one of the
Hmm.
more athletic freaks in NFL history because he wasn't a tight end when he came in.
Right.
Jeremy
Right.
Shockey had a problem with the drink though. That guy was a party animal.
He didn't have as much partying as Darren Waller had.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Oh,
saying,
right.
while I was just playing though, Jeremy
Yeah.
Shockey was coming from the club, going straight to the games. You know.
Darren Waller didn't even show up to the game sometimes. You
And
remember
when
he
he
got
did, he was
suspended his
lit.
first 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, his major contribution was from 2019. So I mean, I'm talking about when he
Right.
was
Oh
playing.
yeah, when he started. Yeah, you're absolutely
Right.
right. He's a different man now, and that's something like I actually, you know, I love, man. For him, like he's a completely different person. Like even his family said that like once that incident happened in 2017, he's a completely different person on and off the field. They didn't even care about football and stuff. Like they said, his whole personality even changed once he got off of stuff because he's been doing stuff since he was 15. Like they don't even know the real Darren Waller anymore. When you start using stuff at 15, nobody know who you are at 25
Yeah.
if you're still using.
Right.
There's one thing with substance abuse too. Like once you get off of something, you tend to find something else to obsess on. So maybe football was that. Getting him getting him back into shape and obsessing about that. So I'm hoping that that's a good thing. That he can obsess about football and continue that journey.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he did talk about that, that he hasn't used any drugs, substances since 2017, but he's also on the watch out because he can easily substitute that with
Right.
something else.
That's the exact type of mindset any addict should have
Right,
because you're recovering. You will always be recovering.
right,
Yeah.
You would never not be an addict for the rest of your life. That's just something you just have to deal with.
right,
Like he's always going to have urges. He's always going to have setbacks. You just gotta, be strong in your sobriety.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. Are we gonna talk about? Oh, I wanted to say something about Odell Beckham. Is that here, or we have a separate segment for that?
No, this was actually the not the end of the show, but this is the end of the talk with Darren Waller and the free agents. We could talk about Odell. We could talk about some other wide receivers.
Right. I mean,
I'm
one
gonna
of the.
have
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, I'm cut you off, but I'm still gonna have a couple more draft shows. So now after this, not saying free agency is obviously not over. So if we
Right,
get somebody by next week, I'll have another show involving that. But draft for me is coming up strong now. That's what I'm pretty much spending all my time doing. So we're
right.
definitely gonna have a draft show. But we could talk about the draft. I know we got salute to everybody in the chat. Tony gave me a big compliment. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. He said more information than ESPN. That's what's up. I don't know about that Met stuff though, but it's all you cool with me, Tone. I'm a Yankees fan, but it's all good. I love everybody in the chat, man. Salute to everybody. Salute to Vinny Vegas. Hold on. He said, "In Shane we trust."
Well, he makes a big point here too. The last comment that he put, how do you rehab without painkiller? Let's say like he has a hamstring injury or he has an ankle injury. How do you get through that without taking the same stuff that you was taking when you got initially hooked on that stuff?
Unfortunately, I've seen it firsthand. Even though I wasn't a user, I've seen it firsthand. That's how most football players have to deal with their injuries. It's just depending on if you have a addictive personality or not. I was just lucky enough to not have an addictive personality, but yeah, I've definitely seen it. Like that's how you have to deal with it. You got to think about it. Marijuana wasn't legal like in America until like this past year, so it was no other way to have painkillers. Like they can't even now they still can't smoke. So or not just
I guess
smoke,
he's
do
saying if he
anything.
get injured now, what is he doing?
Yeah, because he was
But
dealing
but
with
I
the
but I
hamstring and
think
the ankle.
if you're using it in the context of something medical, I don't think that's considered a relapse.
No, it's not considered relapse. It's a difference between taking a drug and abusing it.
Right.
he just can't abuse it, and he just, like I said before, being strong in his sobriety. So,
And
and
that's
when it
dangerous though, man. For
I mean,
addict, you know,
he might be like, I'll just tough it out himself
right,
instead of
right.
right.
not more into
Yeah, rather than
yeah.
not just take it at all, just keep it away from me. I'll just do something else, you know.
He said, well, when in turn, and plus that is a good question though with the painkillers and the rehab, because I remember him mentioning in an interview like he probably pushes himself too hard in the off season. That's why he hurt his hamstring during the season. So maybe he does that. Like since his sobriety, he's kind of become like a workout warrior. Like that's been his like his release.
Yeah.
So, you know, because of that, maybe he's just pushing his body too hard. And he has to calm down when it comes to that, especially as he's getting older. So hopefully he's honed in on what he has to do in the off season to maintain his body correctly, because he's a big kid, man. Like he's 6'6", 250. He can't just, you know. And think about all the muscle that he's put on. Like when I say he was 240 and he's 255, 260 now, that's
Mm.
all muscle. Like this is not, it's not a fat 260. Like this kid can still run a 4.4, 4.5 40.
That was my question. Has that weight impacted his speed?
Not at all.
Wow.
You're gonna
He's
have to
still,
hit that dude with a car or something to stop him.
Wow.
The big dude.
it's a big dude, man. Like he's one of the, even last year, you see the stats of their 28 catches. A lot of those catches were still over 20 yards. I think it was like 7 of them.
Mm.
For like an example, I don't know if we had 7 all season
Wow.
last year. Over 20-yard passes,
Mm.
20 plus yards. So that solves the problem right there. Like he's the answer for us not having a number one wide receiver.
Mm.
But just like Steph said, it's all about health. That's why he was drafted. That's why he was traded for a third round pick anyway. Like you don't get a player of this caliber with a third round pick unless it was something wrong, or be traded in generally, especially for somebody that just signed his contract less than a year ago.
So that's interesting. You know, that's something that could be there because because it just doesn't make any sense. They signed him to this contract and then they trade him for a third round pick. You know, and he has a history of substance abuse, so you know it's like could be a red flag. But
Right.
you know, you have to see.
Steph, you muted Steph.
I guess anything is possible, but the substance use was 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
2017. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess that risk is always there, but I guess the longer you're sober, um, the less it is. But obviously, it's still
I can honestly, like, I haven't personally been around that many people with addiction, so I don't know if it's longer, if it's easier. I have no idea. Like I personally, like I've had my own mental health issues, especially when it comes with anxiety and depression sometimes, but I've never had that type of hang up when it comes to like substance abuse and stuff like that. That's out of my,
right.
realm of expertise when it comes to stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I
I've
would
lost
say
two
just
uncles because
working
of
with
it.
clients
Hmm.
that you know, it's obviously if you're only sober for a month, it's going to be harder than if you're sober for 6 years. But it's still a possibility, that something can happen to stress you out significantly enough that you relapse. But the longer you're clean, it's still easier than the first few months.
Right. Yo, salute to Harlem Girl in the chat, and Vinny Vegas is on it because he's asked me questions. Right, he came a little late,
Mhm.
so but every question that you're asking me, yes, I talked about it. But I know you on your stuff because you're asking me the questions I already talked about. Yeah, we talked about the linebacker. We
Mhm.
talked about him. His wife is an NBA player, WNBA player. Hold on, what else did he say? We talked about Dabo being a tight end coach. Yeah, we talked about all that stuff. But that's how I know, even though he was late, that's how I know he know what he's talking about. He's asking me all the right questions. Good job, Vinny.
We see you.
Yeah, we see you, Vinny. I like when people show they like their intellect when it comes to football, man. That those are some good questions. Just like y'all ask good questions all the time.
And
I can
that
get that.
sobriety stuff, man. I lost two uncles due to heroin, man. So
Mm.
one of
Mm,
them finally got out of it, but it took him like 20 years to do it. But he eventually passed away because of um, issues with his extremities. So when I
mm,
see the hamstring
Ah.
issue and the ankle issues, that kind of gives me a red flag too. But he's still young and stuff. My other uncle, on the other hand, he fell in love with the drug. So the drug was almost like another human being to him, like an
Hmm.
old friend. So that's what he would do. He would go on binges and lapses and disappear for years.
mm.
And just because it was like an old friend, somebody to hang out with, his addiction.
Right.
Right. And
Everybody's different. The addiction is a scary thing.
apparently, like Waller was bad. Like he said, he used everything except for meth.
Yeah. And he
Everything
started
he
at
said.
15.
At 15, I'm talking about cocaine, everything. Like he was in one. He was bad.
And thank God he didn't touch that meth stuff.
Right. And this is a kid like coming from, I don't want to be the stereotype of coming like from struggle and stuff like that. That's why
Hmm.
I want to, I always want to let people know that when it comes to mental health and anxiety and stuff like that, all walks of life. It doesn't matter what race, creed, color you are. Like this is a kid from like suburban Georgia with a mom, dad, sister, nice house, private school, good athlete, scholarship, didn't have to pay for college, stuff like that. He didn't really have any, quote unquote struggles that you would think, a young African American man would go through. But
And he was smart enough to get an academic
right,
scholarship.
in Georgia Tech, which is hard as hell. That's a technological school, so
Mm.
yeah, Georgia Tech is nothing to play with when it comes to engineering and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a smart kid, man. Like he just got in one and couldn't get out of it. It just happens sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hold on, Ron said. Hold on, what Ron say? Normally, I would be very scared of Waller coming from New York, but I played for years in Oakland, so I'm sure he's been exposed to a lot. Yep, that's true. Oakland and Vegas. You got to think about that. He played for Oakland
Yeah.
and Vegas.
Right.
Yeah, people get high everywhere though. The New York is this.
Right.
It's like the
Hmm.
stigma, like the party city and stuff. But you can get high anywhere. So
Matter of fact, I'm gonna cut you off. I just thought about he was drafted in Baltimore,
Right.
and that's how he got. That's how he OD'd in the first place. So he went
right.
from Baltimore to Oakland to Vegas to New York. Like he might should have went to Cleveland or something. You know what I'm saying? Like he might have should have went to like Cincinnati Bengals or something. Like he went to every place that he's been has been a major city so far. But I think he'll be okay though. Like Darren Waller, I think he's fine. Here's a small clip before we get off him and move to somebody else. I forgot. I got a little small clip of an interview that he had in the facility today.
$40 million a year QB, Saquon. What's here and the potential for this offense?
Meeting some guys today in the cafeteria, in the locker room. They just radiate with humility. I really respect that. Guys that are so talented and that have a lot of upside and are just really stepping into their primes as players. I'm excited to be with them, to be friends of theirs, to just grow and to do whatever it takes to go where everybody knows this team can go. And it's just really cool to meet them and get a feel for their personalities and know that these are guys that I'm going to enjoy showing up to work with every day.
Right.
Right.
He's a good kid, man.
Yeah, very strong, kind of like Superman almost the way he's talking.
Right. He got a message for the fans.
What's up, y'all? Darren Waller here. I'm in New York. Excited to be a part of the G-Men. Man, I mean, this is my Pops team growing up. I remember watching them when I was a kid. So to be here and represent the Big Blue, it's an honor. Excited to be a part of the team, part of this culture, and to win. So it's good.
I love it.
Get it.
Yeah, that was up. That's all I got, man. So we could talk about random stuff now. What you say? You had a question about
Um,
OBJ?
yeah, I mean, for what I'm reading, he's not the same. Obviously, he's coming off of the injury. I know he had a recent workout. The Giants was able to see him, but for what I'm hearing, um, he's not the OBJ we remember, and that he's probably more of a possession receiver now. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because at first I heard that he wanted like 20 million a year.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm like, he need to read the room, so because that's not gonna happen. so I don't know. Like he coming off 2 ACLs, and he's been out of the football for over a year now. So I would still sign him, but it just the hit got to be good. Like we
Money
already
gotta be right. The money
right.
gotta be right.
Like we already better choice of words. I like Odell Beckham. He's one of my favorite players when he played here. I would sign him, but it just depends on the contract, man. I really don't see it happening, but I would love it though. It's a nice story, especially like we was just talking about the redemption story with Darren Waller. Odell signing here is a redemption story too. Just a different type, obviously, but it will be like a redemption story. It'll be a huge story, him coming back here. So I would sign him, but it just depends on the contract. Like 12 to 14, maybe, hopefully. But if you talk about like 15 plus, we wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
I don't see us doing that. I draft like 3 wide receivers in the draft before I pay Odell Beckham like $18 million a year to be my starting wide receiver. No.
So what's the number you said? 14 maybe? Less than 14?
I would go 14 and under, yes. But, if he has a 14.5, I don't know if I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But, yeah, I want him, but he was looking good in the clips that I saw, Steph. He was looking good.
Yeah, I'm all in if the price is right.
Yeah.
You're
But,
talking about redemption stories too. Every good championship team needs some good redemption stories. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm all in. I think we got something going on here. And then like the draft, I don't know if we're gonna talk about the draft too, because it looks like we're probably gonna draft the wide receiver early, right? Or cornerback.
We talked about that a little bit last week. To me, it would be either a wide receiver, corner, or inside lineman, like an interior lineman.
But is a wide receiver, I wouldn't say necessary, a priority in the first round though, given that we just signed Waller.
No.
Not that we don't need one in the draft, but I mean in the first round.
In the first round, no. There's no like if we drafted 25, kind of proves that we're a good. Well, it doesn't prove that you're a good team, but coming off of a good year, let's just say that. Yes, we need a wide receiver for this offense to go, but there are weapons in later rounds. But in the first round, there are some wide receivers that can definitely be our go-to number one wideout, if that makes sense. But if we get somebody in the third, not saying that they can't develop into that, there are always, late round wide receivers that can, show, but it's just it's a crapshoot at that point. But if you give me Zay Flowers, that's my number one wide receiver in the draft. Zay Flowers, right, out of Boston College.
And he's marked to go first round, second round?
First round. I think marked to go first round is Quentin Johnson from TCU, Zay Flowers from Boston College, Jordan Addison from USC, maybe Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. He's kind of iffy, 1 to 2. And it seemed like I'm missing somebody. Jackson Smith Enigba from Ohio State. So we picked 25. I would guess at least 3 of those wide receivers are gone by 25. That's just guessing.
Yeah.
But to me, if I'm picking in the first round, if it was me, I'm not Joe Shane, and I trust everything Joe Shane has done so far. So if Zay Flowers is on the board and he does not pick him, then we just disagree. But I almost don't care who's on the board if Zay Flowers is on the board. That's how much I like him at wide receiver.
He's 6'10" though. So what kind of receiver is he? He's
6'10".
5'10".
Yeah, 5'10".
five.
My bad.
Oh.
5'10". So you talk about the Knicks too long.
I get a little excited over
The
here.
watch-alongs is busy burning the midnight oil. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, but he's 5'10" to me. Like how I analyze him, I scouted him for like the past couple weeks now. To me, like this is strong. I said it last week. He reminds me of Antonio Brown, the way he comes in and out of his routes. That's how clean of a separator he is, and that's what Antonio Brown was good at. Obviously, kind of like who else is a good separator? I don't know. It's a lot, but yeah, Zay Flowers is my number one. He's 5'10", around like I guess now he's like around 185. He's put on a little muscle. Durable kid, so I'm not really worried about injuries. Yes, there are bigger wide receivers in the draft, but to me, he's the best one. Him and Jordan Addison from USC are probably the best all around wide receivers, with Jackson Enigma Smith maybe coming up a little behind him because Jackson Enigma Smith, he's a big kid, but he's a big slot receiver. He's more like Cooper Cup. He's not going to be lining up for the outside pretty much, but he's like 6'1". You know what I'm saying? He's a big kid, 6'1", 200 pounds, but he could tear the middle of the field up though.
Right.
Route running technician, he's probably the best route runner in the draft. Real smooth. I like him too. So if we grabbed him over Zay Flowers, if they're both on the board, I'm not mad at him either. But Zay Flowers is just my pick.
How deep is the cornerback, in cornerback position in the draft? Is it deeper than wide receiver? And if we had a wide receiver available and a cornerback available, and both of them were equal in talent, who would you take? Which positions would you take?
I would probably pick wide receiver. I probably could grab another corner in the later rounds, maybe not too much later, in the second or third to be fine. But if we did draft a corner instead of a wide receiver, I'm still not mad at that either. Joey Porter Jr., I'm pretty sure you've heard of his father before. He used to play for the Steelers. His son now is a cornerback, and he's going to be picked in the first round. He's probably my number one corner coming out of Penn State. He's pretty good. Banks out of Maryland is probably my second. It's another kid named Smith, Cam Smith from South Carolina. He's pretty good too. Like, and plus with the type of defense that we run, Wink Martindale runs the type of system that we need press corners. We don't play zone that much. Press man, we rush the passer every down. So the type of corner, like with the wide receivers, I could pick any wide receiver and they can do well in Dabo's offense. I can't pick every cornerback and they do good in Wink Martindale defense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It has to be a press corner. Because if it's not a press corner, they're not going to draft him.
Right.
So it's kind of slim pickings when it comes to the corner. They have to be more selective. But I wouldn't be mad either way. Personally, I would pick Zay Flowers or Jackson Smith Enigma over any corner. But if they did, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset at all.
Can't wait. When is the draft?
April 20 something, like 26, 27, something like that. It's in the late 20s. And I'm definitely probably I'm thinking, because I don't want to fully commit yet.
Right.
But I will probably be doing a draft show and be live for the draft the whole first round.
Might as well. We're going to be in front of the computer anyway.
Right. I'm definitely going to be watching in front of the computer anyway. I might as well talk and get some views while I'm doing it. maybe put up, as soon as somebody I see get drafted, maybe put up, snatch an image off Twitter, put it up, and we'll talk about the prospect in between drafts. In between picks, because they're like 10 minutes apart.
Yeah.
And ESPN stretched the hell out of that 10 minutes. Like they do it on purpose because of show production stuff.
Yeah.
Because we know it doesn't take 10 minutes to draft a player in the first round. It's like there's only 18 people got picked, yo. Like, who's the ninth person on your draft board and draft them? It doesn't take that long.
Right.
Unless you're like holding trades or something like that. But in the first round, all of the players are pretty much available. So, you should be picking quickly, but they don't.
Football is incredible though. Like to watch the highlights. You played a couple highlights today. Just watching the highlights. I'm just sitting there like, wow, look at the action. Looking at you using imagination and stuff like that. So football is way different than basketball. Or like say like baseball or anything else. There's nothing like it. Nothing like this. The draft process.
Hold on. Shout out to Harlem Girl. He said his height doesn't matter. OBJ was 5'11". That is true. Like all 5'11s they created the same, because Odell definitely don't play like he's 5'11". He play like he's 6'8". Like the ball in the air, he's getting the ball. Zay Flowers is nice. Yep, jump out the gym. Ron said he would rather take a corner, and our first round pick apparently this is a cornerback draft. Yeah, corner and wide receiver. I would guess maybe wide receiver may be a little deeper, to be honest, in the later rounds. But yeah, they both. I wouldn't be mad at either one.
And listen, with the injuries we got 11 draft picks, and those players, those rookies who didn't play last year, though, they're draft picks too, because basically this is going to be their first year playing in the system. I don't even know if the Giants are going to use. I know what you're saying, Joel. We need every draft pick we can get, but are you going to sign 11 players plus you have the players coming back from last year that were injured? Or can you package some of them picks and move up a little bit in that first round?
In the first round, maybe not in the first, because the move up in the first, they had 2/3 and they already gave up one of them. So unless you want to give up your other third round pick, I don't see moving up in the first. Unless you want to like move your second or third out of next year, and I don't think Joe Shane is going to do that because he's still building the roster.
Right.
So, like, to your point though, the reason I think he would sign all of them because this roster needs to be flipped, if that makes sense. Like all the picks that he got from last year and this year, they probably all will make the team because I don't know that you got to think about all the people that Dave Gettleman had, like other than the people that were re-signing, which is Dexter Lawrence, DJ, Saquon Barkley, Shepard is the oldest person on the team, or the most. If he's not the oldest, he's been on the team the longest. So he predates David Gettleman. So he's the only one left over in that regime.
Right.
Xavier McKinney, we got to re-sign him. Jordan Love is still iffy, but Xavier McKinney, Sexy Dexy.
Didn't they sign Dexy yet? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
So his deal is going to be monstrous. Dexter Lawrence might end up being the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. Xavier McKinney is so good. He's a Pro Bowl caliber safety, so he might be top 5 in pay when he gets his. Other than those 4 or 5 people, Azeez Ojulari, other than like 5 or 6 players, everybody else is expendable.
Right.
Because those are the only team from those eras that we're going to re-sign. Everybody else they could either, you see how they got rid of Kenny Galladay today. Adoree Jackson, I forgot Adoree Jackson, but he might not be here after this coming up year. So this roster is going to look a little different. That's why I was telling Eru earlier that even though we had a good year, our roster could be better, but we could have a worse record next year. Easily. That's how football is. It's never on paper. You never go by on paper. It's a whole lot of teams that killed in free agency and did absolutely nothing in the regular season or in the playoffs.
Right.
Like football is crazy like that.
Yeah. That was the Giants when we were signing all of these high-priced free agents and wasn't really getting our money's worth.
Yep, that happened to the Eagles a couple times. I remember they went on a couple spending sprees and the house caught on fire, and I was happy about that. Yeah, Dallas used to do it. Not Dallas did it a few times now. They traded for a top corner today, but they're getting rid of Ezekiel Elliott because he's getting paid too much money.
Right.
Like a lot of the.
That's what I'm saying with this running back position. Here today, gone tomorrow. Quick today, slow the next day. I mean,
right. That's what I was saying last week, man. Much as I love Saquon Barkley, I could definitely see him not on this team going forward after this year.
Right. That's why they have to be careful with the guaranteed money and what this contract looks like.
Right. Exactly. And if he doesn't want to take that contract, we need to just let him go because we can. After this year, I don't think he's going to play on the tag. Like, I think Saquon Barkley gets injured too much. If he gets injured on that tag, him getting a long-term deal with us or anybody else in the future is out of the window. So if you were him, you wouldn't pay under that tag either.
Right.
because that's the only thing about the franchise tag is no security going forward. Like you get that money, but that's it. If you got hurt, your career is over.
Mhm.
So you say you don't think he would play under the tag? So he
Yeah,
so you think he might sit out the year? That's what you're talking about?
yeah. That's what hold that. That's what like when you hear players
Wow.
holding out. That's what holding out means. Is because always because of contract stipulations. Like if I was him, I'm not playing on that tag. Like not for 10 million. No, because
I
if he
think
gets
he
hurt,
would though, just given
Yeah, I
his
think he would. He's crazy.
just his personality and his relationship with the Giants. You don't think so?
nah.
Yeah, he was wearing a device
This.
in his remember the device that he was wearing that he couldn't move his arms and stuff. So he risked a lot last year,
Right.
with that.
So imagine if he gets hurt, injury prone as everybody know he is, even though he's not going to admit that. Obviously, he turns the ankle in preseason. Well, he's not. Well, he's not going to play preseason regardless. But if first week of the season he hurt his knee, then what? Then just for being a team friendly guy, you threw your whole future away. Like I wouldn't. Like I could see, I wouldn't be mad at him if he did. Let's just say that. Players do it all the time. That's how a lot of players get long term deals. They hold out.
Right.
It happens every year in football.
Right. Yeah, I'm good if he plays. I'm good if he's on the team. I'm good if he's not on the team. I just feel like we can find a running back.
Right. Much as I love Saquon Barkley, he's the face of the franchise, character dude. You know, quote unquote, Mr. Perfect type of dude. That doesn't mean he's supposed to be getting paid a lot of money on my football team, man. Like you don't pay running backs that much money. Not the successful teams. Let's just say that teams that win Super Bowls usually don't have nasty running backs toting the rock. It's not the '80s anymore. Like Kansas City just won a Super Bowl with a seventh round rookie out of Rutgers.
Wow.
Damn.
Salute to Isaiah Pachenko out of Jersey. Yeah, he got picked in the seventh round out of Rutgers. Jersey kid. Just won a Super Bowl. Starting running back. So yeah, when we have our running back making like $15 million on the cap and he got picked second in the draft compared to somebody that won a Super Bowl with somebody getting picked in the seventh round, that's how you build a good roster compared to what our roster is and was with David Gettleman. We shouldn't have drafted Saquon Barkley in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here now, though. Hey, Almighty Finesse said, draft Jordan Addison at 25. Jordan Addison is his favorite wide receiver. I wouldn't be mad. I like Zay Flowers a little bit, but I wouldn't be mad at Jordan Addison. He can go too. He's just a little slim for me. Like he kind of like Devontae Smith from the Eagles. Like he's 6 foot, but he like 170 soaking wet. But he's a separator, so I like him, and he's not afraid to go over the middle. So he's definitely the #1 wide receiver. I wouldn't be mad at him either.
Well, as far as like say like free agency is concerned, this wide receiver McCole Hardman. Do you know anything about him? He plays for Kansas City, I think.
Yeah, and our offensive coordinator was the like I mentioned earlier, was the quarterback coach for Pat Mahomes. So yeah, he has a relationship with Hardman. He has some injury issues as well, though. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm doing that. He's a smallish type of dude. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad, but it depends on the contract. Like at this point, now that we got our starting middle linebacker, we got an all-world tight end if healthy. These dudes, now everybody just need to come cheap for me. Now I'm just worried about money. I don't care about nothing else. Like even
Well,
Odell got to come in at a reasonable rate, or I'm not signing him. Like I'm
well,
not killing my
this kid
cap
would
for
be
that.
bargain basement though. This Hardman guy, he definitely would be bargain basement, and he's 25 years old still, so you got a little
Uh,
upside to him.
I don't know about bargain basement. He got 2 Super Bowl rings. Like he doesn't he wasn't like Tyreek Hill in that offense, but he was their second best wide receiver. Like he can go. Like he's a fast dude, 4.3 type of dude, and he would become our #1 wide receiver if he was on this team.
Right.
Like he wasn't #1 over there, but on this team he would be our #1 wide receiver if we got him. I just don't know if he's good enough to be a #1.
Well, the injuries to it, 8 games. He missed 8 games due to injury.
Right. That's why he hasn't been picked up yet. But
Right.
he's a kick returner, punt returner, slot guy. He can play on the outside too. He's really, really fast, but injuries, and I just don't know if he's just good enough to be a number one. And if you're going to sign him to a contract and he's injury prone, I don't know if you want him to be your returner anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be pretty tough. I wouldn't be mad at the signing, but at this point, I'll trust Joe Shane until he does something for me not to trust him. So I'm not mad at anything. I think everybody's going to be going forward. Everybody's going to be on a cheap deal. And even the deals that I put the deals up earlier. Those weren't expensive deals either. Even the linebacker that we got, like he's not like a top five highest linebackers paid in the league, and he's going to be our starting linebacker. Like all of our deals so far has been for little money. Darren Waller was a trade, so we didn't even sign him, and his cap comes off after this year if we don't like him. So even though we had a good offseason, a good free agency, we didn't even spend that much money. Like, to be honest, it wasn't no splash like that.
We got some more holes to like. Do you think we'll still be active in free agency, or you think that right now they're just turning toward the draft?
Maybe one or two more pieces, and that's just because we're going to restructure. We have to restructure Leonard Williams, or he's going to get cut or something, because he's making like quarterback money, and he's not even our best defensive lineman, and we got to try to sign Dexter Lawrence. So if he has to be restructured, Saquon, hopefully we can negotiate a long-term contract with him, because that will bring his cap hit down. So that opens up cap space too. That 10 can turn into like a 4 or a 5 real easily, depending on the contract that he gets. So that's imperative too. So yeah, I don't know who's even out there that I would want really. Like, I like DJ Shark from he got drafted by the Jaguars. They let him go. Wide receiver. He got drafted by the Jaguars. They let him go. Then he just was on the Lions, I think, and he's like injury prone too. Like everybody that's like on the list now is injury prone because they wasn't snatched up in the first day.
Right. Harlem Girl said that we just signed Jeff Smith. Do you know anything about him?
Jeff Smith.
The Jets wide receiver.
Okay. Well, that's if we sign Jeff Smith, that's just like depth. He's not a starting caliber wide receiver.
Okay.
So good job, Harlem Girl. Salute. I didn't know that.
It must have just happened.
Yeah, we must have just happened. But yeah, Jeff Smith, he'll be like special teams, maybe. Yeah, he's not. Salute to Kareem. Just joined the tag. Salute.
And with the Sterling Shepard contract, I'm sure there's injury protections, right? So this is just to get him to training camp, and
Right.
he may or may not make the roster.
Right. I didn't put numbers up for the people that re-signed because they're pretty much all small deals. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like Sterling Shepard is like on a vet minimum.
Okay.
So yeah, like everybody, I didn't put the numbers up there for them because everybody that we re-signed is pretty much either backups. Yeah, they were all backups except for Isaiah Hodgins and his, because we signed him off the practice squad. Like his number is super cheap. Like we got him for like a couple $1 million, and he's going to be one of our starters. So everybody else was backups except for our long snapper and punter.
Yeah, I hope we get our kicker, and Sterling Shepard. He can go too. I mean, I'm okay with him when he's healthy, but he's just been with the concussions and the this, and then he come back and he get injured. That's how I was starting to feel with Evan Ingram.
Right.
Like, at some point, it's all right. You can go.
But
Not that you're not a good player, but just
Right.
get frustrated with not being on the field.
I think it's time to not let Sterling Shepard go, but don't think of him as the person who's you're supposed to count on to produce anymore. Like you said, he's getting injured too much. So
Right.
vet minimum, locker room guy. I said before, he's the longest tenured Giant, I think, on the roster right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, you keep him just for locker room stuff, because even when he hurt, every time he get hurt, you still see him on the sideline being a coach or a cheerleader or something. So like he has the rare combination of being talented, like good enough to be a starting wide receiver, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Like he has like the energy of somebody that don't play, like a Theo Pinston. Like he's always
Right.
going to be cheering
Right.
his teammates on and stuff like that. But he's like a starter caliber talent. But he's a great locker room guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's good to have around.
Like he's going to like say if he doesn't catch on with this roster and go somewhere else. When he retires, he's going to come back here and retire a Giant. That's how I think of Sterling
Right.
Shepard. Like this type of player he is.
And end up covering games for the Giants and stuff like that, doing
Yep.
color and stuff like that.
Yep, I can see him working for the Giants in some type of capacity, just like Eli does now. I think he's just one of those type of players.
With the wide receiving corp, man, I'm looking at Wandale Robinson. Where is he rank? Is he like a second string guy? Is he somebody that we can rely on to be a starting wide receiver?
Well, no, because we haven't seen that much of Wandale Robinson. We picked him in the second round last year, but he got hurt as well. Remember, I told you like our whole rookie class got hurt, so he hurt his knee in the middle of the season. So he's not even going to be back when the season even starts. So
Oh shit!
yeah, he got hurt. Remember, in the beginning of the season, he already had hurt his knee in preseason. He missed a few games, played a couple games, and then tore his ACL.
Right.
So yeah, Wandale Robinson, unfortunately, I like him, but he could be, depending on his injury and how he comes back, he could be a wasted second round pick. We will have to see going forward. 'Cause ACLs
Hope
with
that's not the case.
right, like when it's an ACL, you just never know. Everybody don't come back and have the success stories like Saquon did or Odell Beckham. Like it's hard to come back from that. And he a young kid too. He was a rookie, so you never know. You never know how he is mentally with it. Like it takes a lot to come back from that injury.
Yeah.
And even when he comes back, he's not going to be himself for like another year after that. So we'll see. Like we hurting that wide receiver.
Yeah, big time.
Salute to Almighty Finesse. He mentioned earlier, like Brandon Ayuk from San Francisco. It's a possibility. I don't see why San Francisco would give him up though, unless it's some type of contract dispute. Because they have a lot of players they need to re-sign over there too. They have one of the best rosters in the league when it comes to like just depth. Let's just say that they just need a quarterback, and that's a Super Bowl caliber roster. So I don't see why they would give him up. But hey, he would be our number one wide receiver if we got him. You could say that about damn near every wide receiver that's mentioned with trading. They will be our number one. Just like Darren Waller's our number one tight end.
So would it be worth to do that then? Then trade for one, then rather than draft one?
I think it depends on the trade and how Joe Shane feels how ahead of our roster is. Because the way he's talking in the press conferences, it seemed like that he wants to build through the draft. That's why it wasn't no huge splash signings in free agency. Like nobody, we was trying to talk about going after Tremaine Edmonds because he played for the Bills. Bobby Okereke, how much I say he had? Like
What was that? 40 million?
Yeah,
4 years,
40 million. Yeah, and the guarantees wasn't that much. Tremaine Edmonds for the Bears signed him. The Bears had the number one cap space in the league, and they had the number one pick, so they had the worst. They have the worst roster in the league. They signed him for 18 point something a year. So he making wide receiver money over there. So that's why we didn't get him, because we couldn't afford him. So we got Bobby Okereke. He might be, a little lesser talent than Tremaine Edmonds. He's probably going to be a beast over there. But yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good, but not budget deal because he's a starter, but that's a little under the radar deal that nobody thought that we was going to do. Nobody thought Bobby Okereke was going to come here. Like nobody talked about him really. It was a good pickup. Joe Shane did a pretty good job his first. I kind of view this as his first free agency, even though last year was. But we were so strung up with it come to the cap that he inherited that he couldn't do anything. He had to cut people.
Right.
Like we had to get rid of starters because of what David Gettleman did. So this is really it. And to be honest, even with the cap situation, next year is really all Joe Shane when it come to cap space, how he structured it, and how he views this roster going forward. Because it always takes a couple years to flip a roster.
Yeah.
But people just have to realize this roster is and should be flipped. We suck for 10 years. It has to be flipped. I know a lot of our favorite players gonna have to go. It just is what it is. Like they have to go. I would rather keep winning games.
Right. No doubt about
And unfortunately, Saquon might be one of those people. Yeah, we'll see though. I hope we do sign him to a long term deal. But yeah, he not getting paid like no 15, $16 million like he Christian McCaffrey. No,
Right.
that's not gonna happen. Not on this team. Anybody got any final words? Might as well get out of here. It's almost 11.
Great show. Great show. Excited about the draft. Excited about the Giants. Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
talk
thank you,
about
thank you for
Mitchell
bringing this
Robinson later.
addiction.
Thank you for bringing this addiction. Come on, man. We've been talking about addiction all show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thank you for bringing
Don't
another
put that on
addiction
me,
into the
Ebru. Don't you
equation.
put that. Don't put me on that, man. I ain't no NFL pusher.
That's how it starts, right? Somebody introduces the drug to you, and now you can't stop. Now you can't stop smoking it.
Yeah, man. Welcome to my world, man. That's all I think about all the time. I'm up here at work trying to work here. I'm up here looking at videos and stuff of people running routes and stuff all day.
I can see you done already upgraded the production. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I worked hard last night, man. Watching the Knicks and doing the show at the same time. I'm up there watching the Knicks. Matter of fact, I was listening to Eru. Like I always do the same thing. I got two screens right here, right, on my computer. I have the Knicks on the left, whatever I'm doing on the right, and I got like Eru on my phone with my headphones on, listening to him, watching the game, and doing something on my. I'm always multitasking. That's why I don't never try to get on the show, Eru. I'm always doing something.
Yeah.
Like I'm never just chilling there watching the game in bed and something like that. I'm always up doing something. Like I can't just watch the game and chill. It's hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me salute some people in the chat, man. Like had a great showing today, man. Y'all guys was talking, man. Salute to Geraldine. Cormega came through. Tony came through, even though he don't even be watching football. That's what's up. See, I like when
He said
people
he
that
getting back into it. That's what
right.
He said. He get back into it.
Like all the times, Steph, when you be telling me you be getting back into football, Ebru, you too. I love stuff like that. That's what this show is pretty much all about. Like I don't want to just be some football nerd up here. Like I like hearing those type of stories.
Well, people want to hear it. Like I think Tony was the one that said that this is informative.
Right.
It's because I mean we like football and stuff like that. We're interested, but the Giants are up and down. We're really Knicks fans or whatever. So when you come across something like this, you get a lot of information, and there's an innocence to it too. We're not just like know-it-alls type of thing. We kind of have conversations and shit.
Right.
Right. I want to I want to have somebody else up here, like a coach or something like that. Like I gotta get in touch with somebody, man. Because even like I've even coached a little bit, but I don't know all the ins and outs of everything involving football. Like it's a lot to learn with the X's and O's and stuff, man. Like coaching is different.
Right.
Like having a real like defensive coordinator, type of person that actually coached the game and
Right.
and do stuff like that. I played, but I never coached like that. I coached like little kids once upon a time, but that was short lived. Like I would like to hear the mind of a coach because I always kind of think of stuff like as a player and kind of a scout too because I like watching film and stuff like that. But when it comes to like the X's and O's and plays and stuff like that, yeah, coaching is different.
Yeah.
Saluting everybody to the chat. See, Steph, I'm starting to get like you. I got my condition just like Steph did.
No, I'll be missing people. Afterwards, I'll be like, oh, that was a really good comment.
Yeah, like I'm up here talking. I see Harlem World up here got the bars off. I ain't put a lot of her stuff on here. My bad, Harlem girl. Like even Vinny put a lot of stuff up here too. I'm up here just almighty finesse with nuts. Got his bars off. Yeah, but salute to everybody in the chat. Like who else I miss? Yeah, I think that's it, man. Yeah, salute. So I hope everybody have a good night. I don't know when the next show gonna be. It probably hopefully we'll have a couple more maybe one or two moves. And, we'll have a OBJ news coming forward soon. Odell Beckham. I actually want to sign Odell, but it all depends on the price. But
Me too. Me too.
yeah, if we sign Odell, yeah, we gonna have a whole show just on that. I ain't gonna have no slides. I'm gonna be just like, we got Odell, talk to me. I might just have his picture up there, him catching with the one hand, because we already know who Odell is. I don't need to have no history and what he did and stuff like that. It's Odell Beckham right there, man. Like, he already a Giants legend, even though he hasn't won anything here. But yeah, that's the show. Salute to everybody. Check Steph out at Dope Soul. Check Eru out at Die Hard Knicks. He goes live every show. I'm always in the chat. I'm on Steph's show every Thursday.
Yep. Appreciate you.
Wait, Thursday this week? No, we don't. Knicks don't play again until Saturday, right? So we on tomorrow.
So we good.
So we on tomorrow on Thursday?
Yeah.
Dope Soul just
It's
nicking
going
it.
so fast. I mean, a week is just.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like,
Like,
it was just on the show.
ugh, that's great. But I like doing the show.
Yeah.
But I'm just tired though. Yeah. I'm tired, just like Eru. Eru was half asleep doing the show.
So I don't know how I do anything nowadays, man. I'm freaking exhausted all the time.
Steph, Eru so bad he just do the show in shades now. I ain't seen his eyes in 3 weeks. Eru just come to the chat and be like, yeah, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I'll talk to y'all in a minute. Like Eru just talked to himself for like 2 quarters. Different. Remember the chat there. Oh yeah, y'all here. Yeah, what's up, everybody? And then we'll go back to these Knicks, man. He be into the game. Eru the man, though, man. But salute to everybody. Y'all have a good night, and we out.